What's happening?
Just chilling, just ready to get after this stream, making sure everything's work.
Kat, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing good. I feel like I haven't talked to you at all.
I know. It's like just been a few minutes.
This is your third time back, Kat.
It is.
Why do you keep coming back for this torture?
I don't think I've been given the option to not come back. The invites just keep coming.
Yeah, I think on the last show, Ackerman said, that's it. We're just going to keep having you on like every 4 or 5 weeks until you get your level 4.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you have a level 4 schedule?
No, I just got my level 3 in April.
Oh, awesome. I would actually argue that level 3 and level 4 are drastically different in their thing, to where you could almost simultaneously get the two. That's just my personal perspective. Just because the level 4 is so much more about application, and the level 3 is about knowledge base, which they don't necessarily directly equate with each other.
Yeah, totally agree. I think we're still a little ways off from the 4, which is why I'm here.
I feel you. All right. Well, so I was told that this is my first time seeing you, so I'm really excited to watch. But you were mentioning to me just before we were off air, and then Cody slapped us because we were talking about actual content, that you are working on speed.
Yes.
And you were describing that normally when I hear people working about speed, they go too fast, and it's like, whoa, calm down. But it sounds like for you, it's more the speed with which you're kind of moving from person to person and seeing cues and things. And is it like, what exactly, can you describe that for me, that how you hear I need to work on speed?
Yeah. So when I'm doing the cross circle cueing, which is what I've been working on since coming on here, I can get 3 cues out per rep called, but sometimes they're holding like the bottom of a squat for 30 seconds and dying, because it's just taking me a moment to, maybe like look and figure out where I'm going to go and like which person I'm going to cue. And maybe that first verbal cue doesn't work. And then I'm like sprinting across the circle to give them a visual or a tactile cue, and just working on that speed. And so that's kind of what we were building on last time. And it's sometimes maybe even like sacrificing one cue to like get people moving a little bit quicker and not letting people suffer for 30 seconds at the bottom of the squat, which I'm personally totally fine with, but then they start falling out of positions.
Right. And then more stuff pops up and you're like, okay, here we go. Okay, I got you. So it's more like the speed with which you see the cues and are able to offer an effective change.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. One thing that I'd just like to note right at the beginning is like how you have them set up is an oblong circle thing. And we talked about this with the last guy. And I know I actually almost all the videos I've seen so far, people have been in circles. That might be something that Jay tells you guys to do, or whoever does it before. Circles are really hard to navigate effectively, because you have to move in order to see everyone. Even if you stand at the edge of them, they're really hard to do so. Is with more than like, I'd say five to 7 people. And the second it gets bigger than that, it's just like, it's really hard to see many people in one go. So for your own sake, I think if your issue is shifting from cue to cue and kind of making those static things happen quicker, if you did them in a couple rows to where you could still navigate and see everyone straight from one position, or see everyone from the side, that might actually help you throw quicker cues, because you'd see the vision. You'd have more of a vision at everything all at once. So I don't know if Jason said don't do that, but I would suggest that if that was you. But we can all have our difference of opinion there. But let's see how you navigate this.
Yeah, I think on the first one with the snatch, I think we were in lines, and then that's when Jason introduced what he called the squircle, which is more that, because we have kind of a narrower space on that side of the gym. Yeah. So creating a circle, but it's a little bit longer. So that's what we did for the second one, which is one of the reasons I'm still using the circle. I'm definitely not opposed to lines. Just like whatever's going to make me most effective.
Yeah. And I think depends on what was his reasoning for wanting you in the squirk?
Because my back was to people at times when I was trying to do cues, or I think that was one of the main reasons. And so like people knew that I couldn't see them.
Yeah, like she would be like, walking in the middle of the line, down and in the middle, cueing the back half of the room, and her back
Gotcha. So did you have them facing like towards the camera right here and two rows?
Yes.
So my thought would actually be the other way. So have them face those whiteboards over there, and then you stand where the rig is. So you coach from the rig area and have them in two longer lines. So you're kind of in front of them and above them. That's where I would run it. But it's up to you how you want to run it. I think all of them can be effective, but if your vision is one of the things, then that could be a way to navigate that. You just have to offset them so that way you can see everybody in one go. If they're in two lines, like we were just saying, where they're just straight to back, then it is harder to see them because they won't be offset. And then you'd have to walk down the row and you'd lose people.
That's what's happening.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense then. Well, good job, Jason. I don't have to lay into him after this call then. All right, let's go ahead and start watching, and we'll go through
real quick. Let's get some. I got some house cleaning over here. We got the comments have been going crazy. So look.
Oh my God. Right. I'm in the private chat, not seeing any comments, and you heckled me last time for not being in there. Sorry.
Someone starting class late. Look, Pat had some technical difficulties over here. We're doing
you're gonna pawn that one on me? Okay, all right. You know what? I'll take responsibility. That's fine.
Look, Corey, why is class late? PK, giving you the stay virtuous. Lifetime Dan, Cat back with the third take. That's right. And then Jimmy Ross, hey, how do I get on the show? I'll tell you how you get on the show. You email me, Cody, Kodi, at best hour of their day. I'll get you the details. Anybody can be on the show. Kat's on the show for the third time. She's going to be in here 30 times at least. You're going to have her back every month. Get in here, get your feedback. And then down here, extra sloppy. Attended the level 1 seminar last weekend. Appreciate the breaking down level 1 series. And you had to go work out. Hey, we love doing this stuff. Giving people feedback, breaking down the level 1, the level 2. We're going to continue to have coaches on every Wednesday from seminar staff and other places inside the CrossFit ecosystem. But we're here. We're going to talk about Kat. She's going to do the push press warm up. Let's do this thing.
Let's do this thing. Let's see. We had a couple more comments. Squircle, a modern day Pythagoras. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you know, I have Squircle dumbbells that we actually coined that term when we were making these dumbbells. Look at these things. It was a squared off circle. And they're actually it's literally a squircle, and we call them a squircle.
It's a circle dumbbell.
Yeah, and they're pretty fun. Anyway, I thought
those are dumbbells you don't drop. You don't drop those at all.
We actually those are definitely
those are definitely going to go rogue. They're going like left, right, everywhere.
Most dumbbells do. All right. Well, let's get into this. Let's jump into play, and I control it now. Cool. Matt's offering me advice on staying out of the chat. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Score. You wouldn't think that after yesterday with the rain too. It was like a nightmare.
You are having a wonderful hair day.
All right, guys.
So
for
good job.
Piece and for the workout, we're going to be doing push press. For the workout, you also have the option to do a push jerk. Okay. So we're going to drill the push press.
So, but that's the thing is like with a circle, it's really hard to present to the whole group because like right now you're only presenting to half the group. And so I think it's actually harder to navigate a circle effectively a lot of the time. Just in, I don't know, from when the group gets bigger than you can stand outside of really, which is like I said, like 5 to 7 people, it's rough, anyway, it still works, but it's just hard in that sort of a scenario. But I'm sure they can hear you and they're fine. And I do like the color scheme of your gym. So good job on that.
Nervous. All right. So for push press, we're going to bring this bar up. Okay. I want shoulders slightly in front of the bar, full grip on that PVC, and elbows are going to be just slightly in front of the bar. Okay. So for this part, we're going to be doing.
So when you do something like that, so you've given that piece, you've demonstrated it, which is awesome. And then you go ahead and push the elbows just in front, and you've given a good example of it. And you're kind of looking around. What are your eyes going to?
Well, hopefully they're going to people's elbows and looking
Right.
at where they're positioning.
Cool. And that's it, right? So you're not taking other things and being like, I'm also going to bring these ones in there.
I mean, I might do some of that, but no, I mean, in a perfect world, that's what I'm looking for.
Okay, cool. All right, great. I just wanted to hear what your thought process was there.
And I want you guys to hold. What I'm really looking for here is straight up and down, okay? Shoulders stacked directly above the hips. All right, so before we get started, John, I'm gonna have you widen your grip. Did you widen it already?
Yep.
All right. Well, put it on your shoulders. Let me see. That looks better. All right, and I want you to push elbows out towards my hands. No, not up. Down a little bit. Down, down, down. This one's just in. Push it out. There we go. Yeah.
So is that the kind of thing you're talking about? The kind of getting stuck on one person while... Got it. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Because it was like, and this is a very common cue for that athlete. And that's kind of why he's laughing, because this is a common theme. But then it was still like, then we fixed the grip, but then his elbows went in, and it was like just trying to get to navigate that. It's like, no, like just move the elbows, like hands are fine now. And it takes too much time.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a time and place where that's just going to be necessary. And you're like, dang, I got to do this. And if that's the case, you can always throw the cue and then look around the group a bit and then come back to him. So like, hey, widen up your grip, and then just kind of like look at, hey, Jim, narrow your stance, or blah, blah, blah. And then look back at him and be like, no, wider than that. And like, so you can kind of have that play in and out of that back and forth rather than just saying it and sticking with him. Yep. You do need to make sure that he does it. And often, like a common thing that people have, you actually have two uncommon ones. You're not too fast, which is great. So you're moving and you're sticking with one person. And oftentimes people will throw out a cue and not know whether or not it worked, because they'll just say it. It's like a drive-by cue, and then they walk past them, and you're like, did you check? So you're just hanging with them a really long time, making sure it works. But if you know that your problem is doing that, or you're trying to work on being quick through that, you can really make it be like the pattern of give a cue, look to somebody else, or take a quick glance around the group, and then look right back at them and see if they did adjust. And then that way, in that little set, that time, you might catch a couple more things with your vision, and then you can throw a couple more cues and then get back to that first person and then be like, even wider, And then if you have to step in there and then get like physical, it just means that you've had some space in between where there was no dead time,
Okay. Yeah.
So, and I wouldn't give that feedback to many people, because most people need to do the opposite. They need to do what you're doing, which is like stick with some person. But if you know that's your thing, that might be the way you do it, is like you have to speed yourself up to the point of like, I see it, I'm going to tell you one thing, actionable, move it, and then just move on, just like this guy, Jimmy, said here, be short and actionable, widen your hands. But then between that widen your hands, just scan for a few more people, come back even wider, or whatever you need to do to them. Cool. There was someone commenting about the feet, and I think that is something that we do have to address. And I think you can talk about in the setup of anything. If you're addressing the hands, you can address the feet too, just because that's a quick thing to do. And if they start in the wrong foot position, it's really hard for them to move into a better position throughout it. And it's not a hard thing for you to adjust. And it's an easy thing for you to kind of do a quick glance around at feet and make sure they're all good. But who knows, maybe you'll do it right here too. All right, let's keep going.
All right, guys. So
he's in now though. So it did work. You got him there. It just took a little longer than you wanted. It's fine.
And dip, and then we're gonna hold at the bottom. Nicole, elbows about an inch in front of the bar. There we go. Just getting the wiggles out. All right, Alex, I'm gonna bring your shoulders back about an inch. Yep, and then tuck the rib cage. Good. And then stand.
So what are you using this part of the progression to see?
I'm working mostly on upright torso, and then like that's probably my primary focus, and then just making sure that the setup's good. So I'm going to be trying to look at feet and elbows.
Okay. Feet, the elbows, just because for you use the elbows as a cue to see if the torso is upright?
No, using the elbows just in front of the bar, because we have a lot of people that have elbows like straight down. You can actually see one of the guys over here on the left, like has elbows straight underneath that bar. So kind of just correcting that.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that those are great things to be focusing on, because I think they're an easy home run for most people, is that setup position of like elbows in front, weight in the heels, ready, and dip, elbows in front, weight in the heels. And you can repeat that and then just glance around the group and see if you see it. And you go black shirt, elbows in front. You probably wouldn't say black shirt. You probably know his name, but I would say black shirt because I don't know who he is. And then you're looking a lot of the time for effort too, because some people, they can't get their elbows fully forward. Right. It would be something where they can get their elbows just under, but he's obviously passive and not trying very hard. So you're looking more for that effort there than necessarily a true change. But if they show it today, you can do it once, then you can make them do it every time. So what I would say is like that can still be your patterning, is look around the group for stance and grip on each one. And then do exactly what you just did, which is you just look to one person to see when they dip and hold and adjust that upright torso, like you did with that guy. Hey, brace your belly, keep your elbows in front. Thanks, Corey. Yeah, you in the black shirt, fix your shit. But maybe give him a more specific thing other than fix your shit. But unless he knows that to be the cue for push your elbows forward. So let's see your patterning here as you keep going. The other thing I was going to say though is did you demonstrate what you were looking for, like the dip and hold and with the upright torso?
Yes.
You did. Okay. Let me see. So you're like on this next one, we're going to dip and hold.
Going to be doing a dip, and I want you guys to hold.
That's where you did
what
that.
I'm really looking
is an
for
upright
here
torso.
Is straight up and down. Okay.
But then he screwed up the grip is what happened. Right. So that's what happened. Is it gave that space in between, and then they did that. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. The bottom. Just getting the wiggles out.
Okay, so when you look around here, what do you look at when you're looking at for an upright torso for you? Like, where do your eyes go?
Just the shoulder alignment over the hips is usually what I'm looking at. But then
that relationship
what goes with that is like also that, because sometimes when I try to fix that, they wind up arching and losing that lumbar. So I'm also kind of trying to keep an eye on that. And I don't know whether that's my cueing or if it's like a common challenge, but that's a big challenge of mine. I'll say like move the shoulders back or bring your torso back, and I see them arch.
Yeah. And when you say arch, you mean like let go of the midsection and overextend. Yeah. So I actually have for a long time, I mean, pull your shoulders back it's a great place to start of like, hey, just lean back a little or pull your shoulders back or get your shoulders back an inch or whatever you need to say to think shoulders, because that's what's out of position. One of the things that I've found to be really successful is to go even lower and go down to the knee. So oftentimes people will think about pushing their butt back to dip. So they're here and they think of it like a squat and they push their butt back. And if you just on the front end, you say, hey, think about this as a knees go forward and we're dropping straight down. For a lot of people, that will put them in a far more upright position. So rather than addressing the shoulder position, you go down to the hip, down to the knee and say, hey, can you push your knees forward a bit? And they're like, what? And then they're like, push your knees forward. And then all of a sudden, in order to push their knees forward, they have to lean back and they lean back and they end up really upright, which can sometimes cause them to lean too far back and almost have a muted hip. But I feel like that's a really easy thing to be like, not as much, No,
that's a really good one.
And you can also, even on the front end, when you're teaching the push press, be like, hey, you guys remember the squat where we're pushing our hips back? We're not doing that. Like that's the opposite. We're going to take you back to your ballet days, and we're going to do a plie. This is a drop straight down. So think knees forward. And that usually on the front end helps most people feel that, because they try to kinesthetically make it feel like a squat a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So try that next time you give it a shot. But
yeah, absolutely.
Keep going.
All right, Alex, I'm going to bring your shoulders back about an inch.
Yeah, he adjusted.
Yep, and then tuck the rib cage. Good. And then
oh, what a battle. Pull back and then bring the rib cage down and forward. And
squeeze.
rest your beard on it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, back into
Hey, that was
the
good.
dip.
You did 2 cues from the same spot.
Nate, bring those shoulders back about half an inch. There you go.
Your vision's good.
Carry
You're
that
seeing
hip,
it.
looks good. Shelly, I'm going to have you send your butt back a little bit more. There you go. That's great. All right, and stand. Katie, can you squeeze your shoulder blades?
So
to the
like
back
right
for
here,
me?
you could be adjusting everyone's grip and stance, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
we still have some weird grips and stances. So
Yep.
For me?
in between
Yeah,
every rep, you
elbows
could just
forward a
quickly
little.
just go whoop around. Elbows forward again. Feet in narrow again. You're holding the bar like a teacup. What are you doing? You know, like that. That's like 3 cues within a 10-second period, and you can kind of like get after those.
Mhm.
The other thing that can cause people to pitch forward is dip depth, if someone's dipping
Yeah.
a little too deep. So just keep an eye on that to see if people, maybe this guy in the whatever green shirt with black shorts, maybe a little too deep. But
Yeah, and we definitely have one in the back left that tends to be a deep dipper on a lot of movements. So I think we'll see that today.
Okay, cool.
A little bit more in front. No, I lied. Bring them back. Widen your grip. That's what it is. There you go. And then elbows just slightly in
Great.
front. Good. All right.
You
and
do
dip.
like, I think you do a good job of also noting when someone does it well. You're like, there we go, that's it. You know, like people need to hear that, and I like that you have it in there. And the more specific you are with the type of there you go, like there you go, much better with the hands or whatever it is, the better. But I think it's very clear that you are excited that they did it right, and that's a win for them. So I appreciate you doing that. Good job.
Nicole, can you tuck that rib cage for me? Yes. And then shoulders about half an inch back. Blake, full grip on the bar. You did it. Can you wrap your thumbs?
So with a movement that's this easy, you can actually do more reps if you want to feel like the class, like if you feel like you're getting stuck on people too long, like that dip and hold, you can do more overall reps. It's not like a squat where it takes so long to get down, so long to get up. So you could be like, all right, dip, adjust, stand. All right, dip, adjust, stand, dip, adjust. And like, it could be like, they could do double the amount of reps. And then you could see one person per rep if you wanted to be that methodical with it. The other thing, like you're practicing on, is just getting multiple people per each one of these cues.
Yeah.
But the nature of this movement allows you to actually keep them moving if you wanted to, and then make those adjustments. So depending on the type of movement that you have, you might have the opportunity to do more of those total reps. Like you couldn't do that. Like a squat is a good thing for like, you're going to dip and you're going to hold them, or you're going to down, and then you make a bunch of adjustments because you don't want to be doing 500 squats.
Right.
But we could have someone do 500 dips and it wouldn't really matter, and people would feel like they're kind of moving through it, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So just depending on the movement, the situation might require you to go a little bit more or a little bit less of the actual movement.
There we go. All right, and stand. Back into the dip. Eric, let's get those elbows in front of the bar, and let's bring your grip in a little bit.
Yeah, like that guy in green he's got a forward torso.
Which guy in green? The green shirt, black shorts.
Green shirt, black shorts, yeah.
Yeah.
And stand. John, can you squeeze those quads for me a little bit more? It's hard to tell with those shorts. Thought I'd just throw a shot in the dark there. All right, and dip.
Pat, I like how you move your body and your head, even though that's not going to make a difference in
No,
this video.
no, I have to. It's like, you know what? It doesn't even make a difference when you're coaching either. It often gives you the wrong vision. Like when I get out there, sometimes I find myself like sideways, and I'm like, I don't know what the world looks like sideways. What the hell am I doing here? But for some reason, I'm trying to move with them to help them out.
Good. And stand. And dip. Pinch here. And then keep your elbows out in front. There you go. That's better. And stand.
Christian wanted to know if you were having fun coaching this.
Yeah, I love coaching push press.
Yeah. I I think being on camera is super fun too, isn't it? It makes you feel really natural and like not nervous at all.
Well, honestly, I mean, I'm in the habit of filming nearly all of my progressions at this point. So it doesn't feel like anything abnormal when I'm doing this because I participate in the coaches development group. So Christian's pretty used to seeing my videos. So is Tony and Ryan. So it's kind of a normal thing for me.
Got it. And I almost would say that the squircle is throwing me off and your ability to see everyone off. Just with this thing, if you'd stood in the front, you could have made most of these adjustments like in one go. And then you could also have heckled the guy who put his hands down, you know, where like the guy, he always, oh, the bar getting heavy for you. Good job, buddy. You know, like put it back up. You know, it's like, I think you would catch all of that from the front because you just see everyone move. The nature of how you sit here, you're having to shift and adjust and you can't even move behind them on the other side because of those rowers. I don't know.
Rowers, bikes, and a rig. There's a lot of obstacles in that side of the
There's a lot. Yeah. I would mess around with rowers because I think you could get more. You could almost stand in an upper corner and start firing stuff off because this is a big class. Like how many people?
This is actually not even like that big for us. So
even more of a reason to do it in line.
22. We had 22 for deadlift progressions. Now, so I'm kind of curious if I were to do lines, the way I used to do lines was just straight up and down here, but I would get stuck in the same scenario because I'd be like crashing into the rig. So are you suggesting that I like stagger them and they actually face the rig?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would mess around with both, see which can fit more people, but I would stagger them, face them towards the rig. And then I would put a box under the rig, like closest to the camera that you could stand on and look down at an angle at them. And then one in the center and then one on the other side that you can almost like pace up and down and stand on your boxes. Yeah. Because if you're having 22 person classes, you don't get the luxury of running around the class. Like that's just not going to happen. Like you've got to be able, like a ninja, to just from across the room be like, Jim, elbows forward, Phil, feet in, blah, blah, blah. Like I know like we talk in the level 2 about developing your coaching style for, you got to be tactile, you got to be visual, you got to be verbal. But like the reality is when you get a big class and you're 1 to 2 people, you gotta just stand in one spot and fire shit off. And you got to be really good at seeing the entire room at almost all times, and only at the like last resort be running up to someone and touching them because they don't know what they're doing in space. So if your classes are that large, I would do your best to figure out a way to stay in the front of them and above them and at those sides, and just mess around with that positioning. Cause I had the same thing. I coached at NorCal for a long time. We would have every day. It was like 30, 40 person classes at times. And it's like, you can't be running around that group. If you're running around, you're missing 90% of the people who are there. So mess around with that.
It's like you said last week. It's like you said last week. It's verbal first, visual second, tactile last in scenarios like this, right? Where it's going to be super demanding of me to make it around for a tactile cue to every single person in the class. And so I think you use like the analogy of talking to a child, right?
Yeah. It was the least force necessary. So the first thing you want to do is you throw out just a verbal cue like, hey, try this. Then next, more force, progressively more force, which is verbal, visual. And then if you really have to, you get in there and get tactile. And so you want to, in order to have the change happen, try to use the least force necessary. And I related it to parenting. Philip said 34 people in one class, 1 coach. We would often have 2 coaches if it broke 20 people, but there was also just times where you'd get stuck as 1 coach, and that sucks. But as soon as we hit 20, we tried to have so like 6 a.m., 5 a.m., and noon tended to have 2 coaches. Philip asked. Anyway, let's keep moving. But again, though, Kat, your eye is really good. It's clear that you see stuff, and you see it from far away, and then you end up walking over to them and helping them. So yes. I think
I know. It's
So,
just the challenge. Very hands-on.
but that's good. Like there needs to be like, you can do the hands-on as soon as you break out into like individual sections. It's just too hard to do in the big group.
Yeah, it's funny.
My challenge. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Nope, go for it.
I was going to say, like, when I first got my L2, when I was trying to work on group management, I was like the quiet cuer. I would walk over to people and like whisper their cues to them. Basically, I'm exaggerating, but like I wouldn't even yell at them across the room. So I think some of the movement is still stemming from those days of where like I would walk over to someone and give them a quiet cue.
Well, you just did that here, I think, actually, right here in the video.
Look at my torso today.
So you were talking to the guy right here, and I was like leaning in to listen because you were having that conversation with him, and I was like, wait a second.
And dip.
Oh, that guy adjusted.
Get those elbows out in front of the bar a little bit.
Yeah, but you're good at cross cueing. Like, oh, then you're going to him.
Bring that chest back. There you go.
Yeah. So my challenge to you would be like, don't move. Like it's gonna feel weird, but literally stand in the front, up at the center, and just stand there. And like, this is you. And like, you got to be able to see what you can from there. And it's going to be so hard, especially for you. And you'd be like, I'm going to only be here. And this is not how you should coach. Like, this is not like, this is more of like let me isolate out a single piece and just try this, because then it's going to highlight your ability to be like, I can't waste time. I'm not allowed to, like, I can, and you'll be in one spot. So you'll just be like, okay, throw something out. Next rep. Shit, didn't work. Throw something out again. And you can have that back and forth from one place. I think that'd be really challenging for you, but I think it'd be really fun in the long run, because you don't want to coach that way, but you have the capacity to do so. I've seen your vision across the group now. You just have the tendency to want to walk over and say hi.
Yep.
You're so friendly.
And stand and dip. Can you tuck that ribcage for me, Jason? And then still squeeze right here. Delicate balance. Yep. Got to do like dance moves. All right, John, bring that.
I also would bet you that your coaching toolbox is filled with a bunch of tactile cues and like a bunch of kind of like intimate back and forth dealings, because that's where you felt comfortable. Like, just like you said, where you started was those probably, did you start coaching one-on-ones or did you start coaching group classes?
Group classes.
Okay. That's unique. I would have guessed that you would have started coaching one-on-ones because you're good in that one-on-one interaction. And it seems like you're very comfortable there. And that's where you feel like you can have success. But with your vision and with your ability to cue so far, from what I've heard, none of those needed to be said directly to the person. maybe some of them, but I think you just don't feel comfortable doing so. And that would be my challenge to you, is to like step away from him and just be like, "Pwah," and throw stuff at him. Matt wants to know if you get angry.
I know. Yeah. Talk to my husband. But it's funny because where I started coaching, I'm like 3 gyms into my coaching experience. And like Jason brings this up every time I'm on, so I'll bring it up. The coaching experience I had around the time that I got my L2 was not conducive to cueing or like calling people out, as they kind of said it. And so I think that's where a lot of the quiet cueing came in, because there's only certain athletes that I was encouraged to coach. And then the other athletes I was encouraged to leave alone and like, just don't say anything to them. Like, they don't want to be corrected and we don't want to alienate them. And this is why I'm at this gym. I've been at this gym for almost a year now, and it's much better. But I think there's still a part of me that built that habit from that old kind of lifestyle.
Oh man, that makes total sense. Like what kind of an environment was that? Ugh.
Yeah.
Like, you're not encouraged to coach. It's like,
that's why I
might
left.
as well just, thank goodness that you left. But that makes sense, because then the only way that you would have been able to be effective would be to go up to the people you were allowed to be effective to and talk to them. Yeah. And then you have to overcome feeling confident in that. And now I'm asking you to do that across the room, and everyone's going to hear it, and some might adjust, and you don't get to move. So, okay. So that makes sense, but I'm still challenging you to do exactly that. Oh, no. Like, I think you should.
It's exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah.
What hits my hand? Okay, and stand. Nate, what's going on over there?
Yeah, but so see that interaction that you had? You would have had that the first time you saw him put it down. You know, like the first, like, and he laughed his ass off and he was engaged. But because most of those times you were turned away and looking away, which allowed him the opportunity to do so, you didn't get to see it.
Yep.
Whereas if you were standing in front of the group and you saw him rest while everyone else was just like holding it, and you're like, this 55-year-old woman next to you is having a fine old time with the same PVC pipe, Greg, whatever it is, like, yeah, you don't need to say that, but like I think like he obviously respects you and laughed and did the whole thing. So I'm going to challenge you to do that. Stand up in front of the group, get them all down below. Even if you got to stand on a box, do so, and just stay there and see how uncomfortable and awkward it is for the first time, but then move through a couple classes like that and only jump down, and move around once it's necessary to like break out to like once they get into the heavy lift or whatever it might be. And then you can use your place you feel comfortable. But all the warm-up stuff like this and progression stuff with the no PVC pipe, I'm going to challenge you to stay in one spot at the front of the group, see everyone. And if anything jumps out to you eye-wise, be like, don't do that, or do that, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Because now you're watching. Look,
Bring that torso
you can
back,
see him. Look at this. You're doing it for across the group. So good. So good.
And stand.
This is not at all outside your skill set. Like,
all right, go ahead and relax.
it's just comfort level.
Okay, so for this next part, we're going to do a dip and a stand, but I'm just going to say go, and you're going to do that dip and stand. Okay, we're not going fast yet, but what I'm still looking for is torso upright when we stand, squeezing quads and butt. Okay, so everybody go ahead and load that PVC
and then
up.
now here you'd look around the group and adjust stances and grips.
All right, and all I'm going to say is go, and you're going to dip and stand on your own.
So give that one beat, because anytime you take them in and out of a position, it's an opportunity for them to fuck up their stance and grip. And they likely will. So it's a really good time for you to just be like, and check stance and grips, and then up, no, elbows in front again, up, narrow your grip up again, up, narrow your stance up again, and then okay, now we're going to go into it. And eventually you'll just look at them and they'll adjust, and you're like, aha, got them. But it'll just take that one beat on the outside. Oh, I love how he did a full push press.
Oh, I think I called him out on it in a second too.
Let's try that again.
That's awesome. You laughed at him. That was good. So the way I always do it is and the way I've thought about it in my head, if one person screws up after you tell them to do something in a group, then they weren't paying attention right. If more than one person screws up, then it's your fault because you didn't communicate something. So just be like, okay, use that as your litmus test. If one person blows it, he was just not listening. If two people blow it, then that was you not communicating something effectively enough to where a couple people misunderstood it. And it's a fun one.
Totally agree.
And go. There you go. Nice dip, Nate. And go.
Yeah. So this is the time where like now what you're looking for is a chest drop across a big group. And that's going to be hard to see in a squircle standing where you're standing. And we can kind of know that if we look at this girl in purple here, as we look at the guy across the group, we can kind of see that they're dropping their chest here. But that'd be much easier if they were all standing in rows and you were up at an angle and you could be like, aha, and then you could catch the whole group doing it. And then if you have like 5 people doing it wrong, then you need to think, okay, what's a global cue I can give that would help multiple people do this more correctly? So something like I'm up on the top of the box and be like, I see a lot of you guys dropping your chest forward. On this next one, let's think about on the dip, push your knees as we dip drive. Knees forward, lean back, and then see if that adjusts multiple people. So that way, if you see that big cue going across all of them, you can do like a more of a global thing. My favorite is to give like I see some people doing this, and then I like look at one person specifically and be like, and then they go, okay, it's me, if you have that relationship with the people.
Yeah.
Some people need to be called out like that, like the guy with the backwards hat.
Yeah, he's totally cool with it.
Good, Anna. I want you to set your butt back just a little bit more on that dip. Okay. Go. That was better while still keeping the torso upright. Delicate balance. And go. John.
Yeah, so he did exactly what you wanted. So he put the butt back and he put it back too far, and then you were like, not as much, bro. And then and then he did better. And you're like, delicate balance. And is he still dropping his chest a little bit? Sure, but it's you got what you wanted from it, and that's the point. And awesome. But you could have done that from across the room.
Right.
Let that chest dip forward. Okay. And go.
Yeah.
Jason, push through the heels on the next one. Don't allow those heels to come off the ground. And go.
Oh, see, you're doing it.
That
This
was
is
so
it.
much better.
This is what you should have the whole class be like. This is it. Like just standing in one spot. You're across the group and then stay back in your heels more. Blah, blah, blah. Like just like hit those things.
I think I was feeling it. So I was like, gosh, I'm moving around a lot. Cause like Ryan and Christian have told me this before, like how you move around too much and it's just such a habit. And then I'll feel it. And then I try to stay planted, no guarantees, but I think that's kind of that moment in class where it's like, I need to stay still.
Okay.
Like that. Okay.
So now I'm going to offer you that you have to stay still for the entire warm up. Like that's it. You just stay on a box. You get your box, you leave that box, you blew it. That's your that's your circle of protection. I'm going to stay in this square.
Yep.
So can you squeeze the quads a little more for me? Squeeze them.
And here I am. I'm running over to Shelly. This one was a tough one for me. I did not fix her until like the end of class or the end of the warm up.
All right. And go. There you go. And
so her stance is also weird too. She's got like almost like a squat stance. It's like a little wide, but you can have a wider stance, but her toes are really far turned out and we don't need that for a push press. But that's kind of a theme across this. Like, I don't know how much your eyes go down to the feet. I saw you look at their heels, but these stances are a little wide and turned out kind of across the group.
Emily, nice job with squeezing the quads and the glutes. And Eric, get those elbows out in front.
Get him. Take that,
and
Eric.
Go. Good. Can you keep that PVC under your chin? There we go. And go. Katie, nice job squeezing on the top. And go. Jason, try to squeeze with your quads and your butt before.
Yeah, you kind of run into the same issues. Like once you walk past them, they're gone. And it was just kind of what he was trying to get you out of that because you'd be coaching like when you walk down the row. Once you walk past them, they're kind of gone. They're behind you. But then we put you in the circle, and that same sort of thing happens. Like once you walk past them, they're gone. Unless you're like really creative with shooting back across the group. But I think this group's too large to do so. I think as long as the only reason we do it at the level 1 is so we can really easily do like it's so they can see each other because they're coaches. And we kind of want to watch them watch each other and do that whole unpacking it. And like to me, it almost misrepresents what that should be used for. And I think it works really well in like an on-ramp class where people are learning for the first time and they're all here together. And it's like, they're seeing each other coach them, but it has to be a small enough group for it to work. So I understand why Jay did it, but I would switch you back to lines.
Okay.
All right. So
he's just wrong.
Just like that. Through the heels. All right, guys. Now we're gonna dip and drive faster. All right. So what I'm looking for is not a lot of time spent at the bottom here, but we're really doing a quick drive. So it'll look like this. You might even get a little bit of air.
Bang. Oh, you got the scoot back style. I like that.
Start to move a little bit. That's okay. We're not
what happens
driving overhead yet.
It happens to me too. If you're gonna move a direction, back's the way to go.
Okay. All right. All I'm gonna say is go. So PVC up. Widen about half an inch. There we go.
So right there, I would challenge you, right? Was that worth a tactile cue? Widen half an inch.
Yeah. I don't know. Because it's the same guy that I was like working with his hand position at the very beginning. And it's like, what? We're back here again?
Yeah.
It's just something, something you can revisit and be like, hey, widen them up again. Remember where we were? Let's go back there. More until you get him where you want it.
Well, and I think I am trying to mix in the tactile cues too. I mean, I think that's in the back of my mind, like, oh, this is an opportunity for a tactile cue. Like, let me run over and fix it.
Yeah. No, which is what you should do if you're looking to be well-rounded. But I would argue that you are good at that. And it's not where it's not. So like that to you is to me looks comfortable. In someone's grill, giving them a tactile or something very close is where you're comfortable. And you're like, this is my jam. So I want you to be less comfortable. So because because if you have both, then you can interchange them a lot more. Whereas right now, I think you're reluctant to be just above the group, looking down, being like, cat on high does its thing and like gets after it. And I would love to see you do that, just because I think that would help you speed up the queuing too. The whole thing would feel faster because you wouldn't have that downtime walking between things.
Kat,
So can I
are
answer
most of these
that
athletes,
Yeah.
are they beginners
What was
or
that?
intermediates?
Yeah. So for this class, this is not a super competitive class at all. This is our 5 a.m., which I know at a lot of CrossFit gyms is like the heavy hitters. At this gym, these are very recreational CrossFit athletes. We have a couple in there that move really well, but for the most part, they're just recreational CrossFitters. And some of them have been doing it for a while, but they're just there to have fun and they're not trying to get a score on the board or beat anybody. And most of them don't.
So you got
like
a balance.
Stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
Yeah.
more towards the like beginner intermediate. I have probably 3 or 4 people in here that are relatively new to CrossFit in the last few months, like joined during Bring a Friend Week and stuff. And then some people that have been longstanding members, but they're just kind of there to move.
Yeah. Well, I would say that an easy thing to do is like, especially if you have a mixed group. Actually, if you have any beginners, I think stance and grip is just like an easy place to go every single rep. Stance grip, stance grip, stance grip, stance grip, stance grip.
Mm-hmm.
Just because like, and then start, finish. And then you can get in the nuance of like, oh, you're dropping your chest forward. Oh, you're doing this. But like only after those things are hit on every single one, because it's so easy for new people to be like, yeah, I think this is my stance, like, and I think I said this to the last guy I worked on with this, is like the same sort of deal. It's just like every rep you get a chance to just like whoop and look at their stance and grip and be like, ow, just adjust those things, because then you can get like 5 people per rep, and eventually you just look at them and they adjust their stance and grip because they're so terrified that you're going to say stance grip.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm laughing at Corey's comment that the 5 a.m. at his box is not heavy hitters. It's more of a let's turn this into a partner workout. That's a little bit more like how it is at this box. But my previous like 3 gyms of 5 a.m. was like all the very like type A, very competitive people. So this is a little bit of a shift for me.
Well, I appreciate the 5 a.m. Let's turn this into a partner workout, fellas and ladies. That's my kind of 5 a.m.
And thank you, Mr. Eaton. I appreciate it. I'll put that $5 to good use.
All right. Everybody ready? Go. Good drive, Adam. And go. Eric, try to push through.
I want to see once they get to the full movement what you start doing.
And go. That was better, Nicole. John, squeeze those triceps for me.
Oh, good job.
Eric, bring the bar
Yes.
off an inch.
Get him.
Maybe full inch.
Oh, and this is where I run over to him because now I'm like, he's not fixing it.
Allow the torso back. Yep.
Well, so another strategy is then, okay, let's move to another rep. And then address, so you can do another rep and then throw a different type of cue out. Everybody reset. All right, ready and go. And then it's working, it's not working. Okay, everybody bring it back down. Reset, ready and go. Another cue. So like that downtime can be used as more reps. You don't need to fix it in that rep. You just need to get them working slightly harder. So I think that that's an easy way to engage the rest of the group, and then practice your own skill set of, okay, I'm going to give a different type of verbal cue or a different type of visual cue. Right now, hey, you're here, here, like, yes, both of those things. And then you can acknowledge slight improvement, because this homie's not going to fix this here. And you know that. like he is tight. Like he couldn't front rack the bar and like even close with his elbows in front. So he's going there and he's almost in a snatch grip and he's having a hard time overhead. So for him, again, it's going to be one of those effort things. It's like, oh, is he trying to pull his rib cage down? Is he struggling overhead? Yes, that struggle is what I want. Move on. But I would say that the speed thing is just more reps. I mean, just like I guess Matt commented here, but it's like it's just you can use more reps and let them do another one and adjust. Let them do another one, adjust, because you're not adjusting anything particularly complex at the moment. It's not like you're messing around with his timing off of the shoulder and the dynamic portion of this movement right now. You're just fixing the finish and start positions, which can be done across the course of many reps, and then everybody's involved.
Yeah. And then I want hands went by my hands. There you go. Yeah, just keep fighting for it, but don't let that torso come back. Everybody getting tired? Tired overhead? Okay, bring it back down. All right, and go. Blake, faster next time. And then squeeze those triceps at the top. Okay, back down. Go. Jason.
So you do such a good job of like just throwing cues out and looking really hard and doing the thing. I literally think the only thing you need to do is like glue your feet to the ground and stand in front of the group. And then use more reps to have, like, when it's not working, go into another rep and then try something new. And you also get the opportunity to think, Kat. Like, you also get the opportunity to, they hold it overhead and they're fighting for a better position, and then not say anything for a second and be like, all right, reset, elbows in front, and go. All right, reset, elbows in front, ready, and go. On this next one, try to think about pulling your belly button to your spine, like whatever. Like, you get an opportunity to do a rep and necessarily not say anything if you're doing more reps. Like, if you're pumping people through things. The time that you can't, like, that we want people to say things on every single one is when they themselves are really quiet, and that's not you. Like, you say stuff all the time, you're good. Or if they're like just not coaching. So that's why we tend to, like, again, you're coaching, you're doing the things we want you to do. You're doing fucking great. It's just, now let's make you more efficient at getting more people seen, more people moving as they're going through it. And that'll speed up the overall thing. Cause I think my even original assessment's wrong. Your eye is fine. Like, your eye is fast enough. It's just your toolbox around verbal cueing and your confidence to say that from one place is not big enough. And the only way to develop that is to try stuff and have it not work, and have that be your only option. Because if you have the option to go see them, you're gonna go see them, because that's where you're
gonna have to, like, chain me to the rig.
I know, but like that, and I think that would be a really, you can even present it at the first part of class, be like, I'm gonna stand on this box and I'm not gonna move from this box, and you guys are all gonna have to do what I say, and they're gonna, like, don't let me step off. Oh, I'm sure they would, but I think you're gonna be blown away by how effective you end up being. And even if you get frustrated, these guys are working with a PVC pipe. Like, we'll get you in a sec. Okay, move on and start thinking about it and mulling it over as you go around. Like, it's okay. Because then, worst case scenario, once they get some load and they're building up or whatever they're doing, you can walk over and have that one-on-one and do that. Like, they're not in any danger here. So I think that's all I'd offer you. I mean, it's really cool to see someone who has the ability to cue and the ability to see across the group, who's just lacking the desire to do so. Because this is going to be an easy fix for you. It's just anchor your feet to a spot and be uncomfortable through giving cues that don't feel like they're working, and then being like, fuck, well, I can't move. So I better either figure this out or move on. And that'll speed things up in the way that I think Jason was looking for from this. Also, don't listen to Jason on the circle. Go back to lines.
Okay.
Even if you wanted to use the previous lines before, it would fix it, because you'd be up above them in front, and you want to just do those 2 rows, and then you can't move down the center. So you're still going to be coaching to everyone. What I would do then is just organize it so the class is your most experienced people in the back of the class. And you can set that up ahead of time. Be like, hey, you, Phil, Bill, Jim, Felicia, can you guys be at the back of the class just because you're so awesome? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, we're awesome. They'll move back to class. And then you secretly move the people you're going to need to see a little closer, a little bit more grouped to the front of the class. And you don't need to do it overtly, but you can kind of steer them that way.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to dig in more, because those are the big things that I would want you to take away. I mean, we can watch the rest of this, and if anything pops up, we can do it. But I think that those would be two big things for you to focus on. It's just like stand in front of the class, anchor your feet there, and then do way more reps, just way more time in between. And you'll notice that because you're not walking around, that will happen naturally.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think you're doing a fantastic job, and these guys are getting a ton of coaching. And that's like, I can't tell you how many videos I've watched that's not the case. And I'm not on this channel, but I have people send me stuff all the time. So, really exciting to see that.
Awesome.
You squeeze your butt in your.
Yeah. Cody, you have anything to add?
No, I wanted to piggyback on like what you were saying earlier, the doing more reps, but not more empty reps. Like there's a difference in that. Empty reps just means like I'm just up there calling up, down, up, down, up, down, but I'm not actually doing any coaching. And it's like Pat said, like you're doing coaching and we just want to speed things up, keep the rest of the group engaged, right? And then not feel like you have to throw out a cue that didn't work. Let me throw out another cue that didn't work and another cue that didn't work before you call the next rep. It's like, okay, we can use more reps to your advantage while you're trying to find that one thing that's going to click for that person.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if somebody's watching this, it's like, we're not telling you to call more empty reps. That's
Right.
no. Not it. Right.
No.
Call reps. If you have to take a couple reps to think about something because you're trying to get that cue that's going to work for somebody, then that's fine. But also we've said in this class too, every one of these reps is an opportunity for you to also go back and check stance and grip all the way across the room really fast. Another rep, boom. Another rep, boom. And then you can find that one thing that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a unique bit of feedback because I think not many people are as precise as you are with a lot of your coaching, and have like you had a unique upbringing where you were encouraged not to coach people. and then when you develop and your style developed around being sneaky with your coaching. So now we're
Right.
asking you to do the opposite. So, I think you'll have a hell of a time and you'll kill it.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, Kat, we appreciate you being on for the third time. We're gonna have
Cody
you on
cut
again,
out.
right? Fourth time.
Sure.
Yeah. Next time, we'll maybe see some lines. Maybe see you not moving to the people quite so much.
Yep.
See some
No, at all. She won't move at all. She will
That's
fix
what
her
I
feet to a
bought.
box.
Right.
Yes. Like you can even put like 4 boxes next to each other, and your only thing is you can step from box to box. Like that's what you get to do. It's like the ground is lava. That's what you get to do.
I like it. I like it. The ground is lava. And if you're watching the show, you want to be on the show, you want to be like Kat, get on here, get your feedback from, it'll be myself, Pat, maybe Ackerman if he decides he wants to come back to work at some point. You can email Cody at best hour of the day. It's scrolling down there at the bottom. And I'll get you the details on what you need to do, what you need to record, and how you can get yourself some coaching feedback. Pat, you got anything else?
No, just awesome. Thank you for being here with us, Kat.
Well, thanks for being here with us. Definitely appreciate it. It's fun to get a different perspective.
I'm excited to be a part of it all. I get the honor of like jumping into a system that's already like a well-oiled machine and being like, hope I don't throw a wrench somewhere.
I think you threw a wrench in the squircle, but
we're gonna have to have Ackerman come back on. I almost sent him a link just so he can come back on and defend his squircle. Defend yourself, sir.
Hey, everyone likes my haircut. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you. Kat, I don't know if you know, but I lost my hair, so I decided to shave my head. So there was this is a new look for me, and this is my lifelong look.
I like it.
Thank you.
Are you gonna grow the mustache back out? That's what I used for the cover image of this thing.
I cut it last night. I cut it to a mustache last night because I had a bit of a beard, and my wife was like, "Nah, dog." So mustache is out, and then I tried to grow a beard with a shaved head, and that's a hard look, man. That's a unique look that I think is hard to pull off well. But it's possible.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you next week, Thursday. We've got Sam O'Connor is going to be on. He's going for his level 4 as well. He needed to squeeze one in before. I think his level 4 is like maybe just a couple of weeks after the show. So he's going to be coming on the show as like a last minute tune up before he takes the level 4. And Wednesday next week, we're going to be doing our first round of the coaching centric shows post level 1, level 2. Pat's going to be heading the charge there with Dan Hollingsworth. So we will see you guys on Wednesday and Thursday next week. Pat, thank you. Kat, thank you again. And I'll get you scheduled for that next one.
Awesome.
See you guys.